Hey, this is Mark Levitt, and I'm going to do a video on the state of 2021 and conspiracy theories. And I should back up first to an earlier video where I talked about how in late 2019 I had I don't want to say an experience because it wasn't a single experience, but it was an experience that extended over a period of time where I felt like the world was ending, or the world had ended. And so 2020 for me, going into 2021, actually feels like a post world. Like I really feel like the world actually ended in 2019. November was exactly when I first got that feeling. Um, so, in my experience, I feel like we're in a post world. I feel like the world that we knew it ended in 2019, and we could never go back. You know, just like they say, when the toothpaste is out of the tube, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. I really feel like the world ended, and since 2020, we've been in a post world, and the new world really hasn't been formed yet, so we're kind of in an in between state. So I have down some notes, but I want to start with, even before I get to the 2021 and conspiracy theories specifically, I want to start with how I put it in a context. So I thought it would be helpful to pull back an old Zen diagram that was very helpful for me on the path. It came from Song San, a book called Dropping Ashes on the Buddha. And in this diagram, he shows the 360 degrees of Zen, or 360 degrees of understanding. And this shows you where you're at in your understanding, your current level of understanding. And as you can see, our understanding is always evolving. Our basic understanding, it starts with attachment to name and form, 0 degrees, simple, 1 plus 2 equals 3. As you go through your different levels of understanding, you start to understand that form is emptiness and emptiness is form. So that's why mathematically you'd be at 0 equals 1 and 1 equals 0, because emptiness is form and form is emptiness. And as your understanding matures, you come to a point where you realize that there's no form and no emptiness. This would be attachment to emptiness. This is where everything is seen as nothing. Everything is viewed as nothing. Mathematically, it would be expressed as 1 times 0 equals 0, 1,000 times 0 equals 0. So every computation is 0. Everything is nothing, no matter which way you look. And then we come to where I believe we're at right now. This is attachment to freedom. So mathematically, that would be 1 plus 2 equals 3,000. 100 times 1,000 equals negative 4. Eventually, this is going to take us right back to 360 degrees, which is the same as 0 degrees, but instead of attachment to name and form, now you understand that form is form, emptiness is emptiness, the truth is just like this. So let's go back to attachment to freedom, which is, like I said, where I believe we're at now. And that brings us to the attack at the Capitol that's going on right now, or a couple days ago. And the sense of freedom that people were feeling, the sense that they could do anything they want, the sense of, you can't hold me down, you can't suppress me, you can't tell me what to do, I'm free. So we have an attachment to that, which could express itself as chaos, anarchy even, and another dynamic that we're seeing is a switch in polarities. So everything is being polarized, and I see this it's happening on a huge scale, on a undercurrent, and so everyone is experiencing it their own way. Some ways you see it in the world are with the male and female roles are being reversed, the polarities between female and energy and male energy, the polarities in politics where everything's being tribalized, everybody's taking their side. So I see it as like a magnet where everything is getting separated. in terms of its polarity. And that's just the stage we're at. That's just the phase we're in, and that's going to give way to another phase. Another thing about this period that we're in, this period of attachment to freedom, this period of fluidity, is that we've lost over our old reliable sources of information. We've lost our faith in all the old traditional tried and true sources of information. So now, once again, with this attachment to freedom and fluidity, news is coming from everywhere. Nobody trusts the mainstream news. So now, people are trusting random people on the internet, conspiracy theories, pretty much anything except for established authority, because this attachment to freedom is pushing back any type of authority. Okay, so right now, like I said, I view us as a place in between. Like if we had a vine, our old vine was the old world with our old authorities, the news, the institutions, the universities. We've left all that behind, and we're going to a new vine. But in between that vine and this new vine that we haven't gotten to yet, this new sense of truth and being informed that we could trust, right now we're just in the in-between. We've let go of that, but yet we've yet to grasp on to the next established source of truth that we could trust. So we're in this no man's land where conspiracy theories are free to flounder, and they are floundering. So, as I said, or actually I haven't said it here, but in a post, in an answer question that I was answering, I was saying that I don't really like conspiracy theories because they're kind of redundant. They don't really say anything new. I mean, the idea of a conspiracy theory is that there's powers greater than us that are conspiring to hold the power for themselves and keep us down, keep us controlled. They want to control us and keep the power for themselves. And I say that's redundant because I don't need a conspiracy theory to tell me that that's what's going on the planet, because that's what people do. That is samsara. That's all that's happening. So I don't need names. I don't need specifics. I don't need to know that the Trumps or the Clintons, have a big plan to keep control and or maintain power and control me. I don't need to hear stories like that because I assume that it's happening. So I think probably conspiracy theories probably apply more to people that did have a faith in the world, that did have a faith in these institutions, that did have a faith in the world and the status quo, what am I trying to think of? The mainstream society. People did have, if you have a trust and a belief in mainstream society and all that, then it could seem like there's conspiracy theories. But as I was growing up, I was very skeptical to begin with. It seems like everything was geared towards corporations and making money. It didn't seem to match what I felt and my heart was true about this world that we lived in. So, like I said, I was always very skeptical of corporations and just greater powers trying to make our lives about something other than what it is, whether it be business or whether it be about religion or mundane as or school teachings. I just knew that whatever we're being spoon-fed is not to be trusted. So therefore, I guess since I'm looking at everything as distrustful, conspiracy theories never really caught my interest because, as I said, I just assume that there are greater powers conspiring because that's what greater powers do. That's just the nature of them. All right, but since it is relevant, since it is obviously in our news, conspiracy theories are right up front, I did for the last couple of weeks start to research it for the better part. I was already familiar with Alex Jones because I would listen to him for entertainment on and off. I've listened to Joe Rogan, so I've heard Alex Jones on Joe Rogan, so I know who he is, and I know he's entertaining, but a lot of the stuff that he shares is truthful and verifiable. That's one of the things that impressed me when he went on the Joe Rogan show, saying all kinds of crazy stuff. Most of it, if not all of it, was verifiable. So anyway, so I've been following the Alex Jones, and my take on it. So my takeaway from listening to Alex Jones is, I don't want to say most of the information, but a lot of the information that he's bringing forth is true, but it's told to you from the perspective, from his perspective, which is obviously fearful. So here's what I think Alex Jones' niche is. I think he goes out of his way to look up information that no one else is looking at, whether it be academic papers, research papers, world globalist papers, science papers, legitimate papers that are exposing just very bizarre aspects of our reality, things that people would not expect to be true. Well, like I said, it could be something from science, something having to do with aliens, or global groups working together, tech groups, building things technologically that blow our mind. So my take is that he's researching and discovering these real things, but they're being communicated to the audience through his perspective, which is obviously fearful. And basically what it reminds me of is somebody, let's say back in the time period of the Industrial Revolution, hearing that planes, trains, and automobiles were coming. They're looking at that like, satanic steel horses and birds made out of steel, and all kinds of crazy stuff is happening. When it's just technology, it's just progress, it's just us. And we could debate that progress, whether or not we should live as Amish or not. But for me, that's everybody's decision. You don't have to live in this technological world. You don't have to live in this world of progress or technology. You could live like an Amish. I mean, at least here in America, you can. I'm sure other countries where we live, there's a place where you can go, have no electricity, have none of the modern evils of the world, and live like that. But most of Earth is moving along technological, and like I said, from I think some people's perspective, that's very scary. It's very threatening. So you put all these scary things on there. So two of the main ideas that I've seen in the in the conspiracy theories have to do with tech, how technology is outpacing us, which I could totally understand. When I was in college, a philosophy class I took called Science, Technology, and Values debated exactly that, whether we could keep up with our technology. I get that. It's worthy of discussion. And the other thing is the globalist. He's very afraid of the globalist. And to me, the globalist is just, again, a fact that the more advanced we get, the longer we exist, the more we're going to expand our boundaries and get to know each other more and more. So we are acting more as a global entity, more than a national entity. And that came about because of the internet, communications, technology. Once again, is enabling us to get together. So globalism, to me, is a natural inevitability. So just like technology is a natural inevitability, it's out of the bag. We're doing it. Technology is there. Global networking is there. So the two things that I see most, at least with Alex Jones conspiracy theories, I think are true. I think a lot of the tech, the AI, artificial intelligence stuff, it's all true. It's bizarre. It's crazy. But I think throughout time, you could look at anything as bizarre or crazy. And same thing with the globalists. I could see that as a threat. Anytime we go from a house to a village to a country to a nation to a global to a federation, I could see how these things are scary, but they're natural and they're just things that happen through time. And it's our attitudes that determine our experience. All right. However, now here's the fun part. So as I'm looking through conspiracy theories and trying to learn about what's going on, one kept coming up that did pique my interest, which is the aspect of virtual reality. Now, so this goes beyond just the people that are trying to control us. The powers that be are just bankers and politicians or powerful whoever. Like I said, that doesn't interest me because I expect that. That's to be expected. But then, you go a little deeper into it, and then it seems like maybe who's controlling us isn't just bankers or politicians, financiers, or whatever. Maybe it's aliens. Maybe it's transdimensional beings or something, beyond Earth. Now, that's something that got my interest. And the way it's usually expressed in the paradigm conspiracy is a virtual reality. That maybe we're in a virtual reality. And that's the conspiracy. Oh, kind of like the Matrix, how we're all being harnessed for batteries for something else. So that does interest me because, like I said, a bunch of business people or rich people controlling and conspiring for all the power, yes, that's reality. We don't need conspiracy theories to believe in that. Okay, going back to the Matrix with the virtual reality thing, obviously I found that extremely interesting when it first came out, but the minute you peer into it for any amount of time, you're going to realize it's really not that deep because who started the virtual reality program that they're in. Now you're back to the same thing of where did they come from? Where are they at? What's this world? Now where did that world come from? Who created that virtual reality? So it doesn't really do anything philosophically or in terms of understanding reality. So I want to come back to this virtual reality aspect because my whole life I've always had a history of dynamics that have been very similar to virtual reality. When I was very little, I always had the feeling like I was always being watched. My whole life was being monitored from something else. Something else was watching my life. Then I've had experiences to where I felt like I took my face away from like a virtual reality screen, like goggles, and moved and looked behind me and saw a bunch of friends that were waiting at a table. And my friend said to me, "We thought you'd never take your face away from that thing." And then the experiences that I outlined in the book all have a flavor of a virtual reality program. The first one, obviously, when I had the experience when I saw in 360 degrees, seeing that there's nothing behind me and a flat screen in front of me, that is exactly what a virtual reality thing would look like. To where the screen, the virtual reality is in front of you and there's nothing behind you. All the content, all the reality is right there in front of you, nothing behind you. So that's like the diagram of what a virtual reality program looks like. The second one, the big experience where it was just like that, where I saw that everything was a flat screen in front of me and I'm just looking at it. But the second experience was I backed up to see that I was not just seeing my little window in living room, but every window in living room or whatever scene happens in existence. I backed up far enough to where I could see I was the eye or the observer for all of the windows. Again, same dynamic as a virtual reality, to where the apparent reality is in front of you. And then going back to the loop thing, to where I was in my room and saw that the world was like springing from me. Again, virtual reality, to where I'm looking at my world, which is basically, a hologram right in front of me. All right, so I have all these experiences with virtual reality. And then on top of it, then as I'm going down the rabbit hole looking at the conspiracy theories, which led me into virtual reality, which led me into physics. I didn't know this. It's been so long since I've been interested in any of this stuff, but going on YouTube and looking up virtual reality and conspiracy theories, I found real physicists. As a matter of fact, the top physicist of the country, people that work with Stephen Hawking, I don't remember their names, but I'll put the links to the YouTube link. The first YouTube link was titled "The Universe is a Flat Sheet," and like I said, these are the tippy top physicists. That said, so it's a YouTube link. I'll provide the link, but it says the universe is a flat sheet. And I'm like, there you go. That's what I saw. The universe is a flat sheet. So I started to look at that video, but it was way too scientific. It was a panel of four, like I said, the top physicists, and they were describing it, but it was so mathematical and uninteresting. I started looking for other links with those same people, but in a more informal tone, where they're explaining the reason that they're saying that the universe is a flat sheet is because they're discovering that the universe is a hologram or holographic. And all they mean by that, like I said, mathematically, all they mean is that black holes, they used to think that black holes, nothing could enter in a black hole. It would annihilate upon entering a black hole. Now they found out that mathematically, that the content, the information would still exist in the black hole, but three-dimensionally like a hologram, while it really exists plastered flat on a two-dimensional surface of the black hole, the horizon of the black hole. So as I'm listening to these scientists describe this, it's blowing me away, because it completely matches my experience. How I saw everything was a flat two-dimensional screen, and what they're saying is black holes is basically a flat two-dimensional screen, but inside the black hole it looks three-dimensional. So that goes back to my diagram that I showed right here of how I think creation exists, how I think existence is created. So it starts off with just awareness. The invagination of awareness becoming attracted to itself creates a fold. So in physics, let's look at this as a black hole. In a black hole, you have the horizon up here, and then you have the actual black hole right here. So what they're saying is, on the horizon of the flat part, the two-dimensional flat part, the thing actually exists. Whatever falls into a black hole, and they call it information. Any object, they just call it information. Let's say a shoe, or a person. Let's just say a person. So if a person goes into a black hole, in reality, he'll be flattened out on a two-dimensional horizon of the black hole. But also, simultaneously, his body will exist third-dimensionally inside the black hole as a hologram. So in other words, the real image two-dimensionally is up here, but it's being experienced three-dimensionally inside the black hole. Like I said, this is just mathematicians' latest theories on science. This has got nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm just seeing correlations between that and my own experience. All right, so my point for bringing that up is, okay, so not just the physicist, but also there's a guy, I believe his name's Donald Hoffman. Again, I'll put the link down. He's a cognitive psychologist who is gaining a lot of attention, saying that the world is awareness or consciousness. The whole universe is just consciousness. And he likens it to a virtual reality program, that everything you're seeing is like a virtual reality program. And okay, so my point for bringing all this up is that all these scientists and philosophers and my own experiences are telling me that this world is a virtual reality program. But I don't believe that. That's the thing, is I've experienced it myself. I've told you about the experiences, and I'm reading physicists and cognitive psychologists. But I think that there's a reason why, no matter which way we look, it's a virtual reality program. And this also explains why conspiracy theories are part of us. I think they've always been with us forever. And the reason is because they are pointing to something in actuality that's happening. I think the virtual reality metaphor is a metaphor, something that's actually happening, an actual dynamic of reality. And same thing with the conspiracy theories. So, what I think is that the idea of virtual reality is a personification of what's actually happening. I believe that we are personifying that there is something else creating this reality that we find ourselves in, and we're personifying it's a thing. We're personifying, whether it be a person or whether it be an alien or whether it be an entity, we're personifying that it's a something creating this virtual reality thing. But like I said, I believe it's just a symbol, it's a metaphor for something that is actually happening. And that's just the simple fact that what we are is a multi-dimensional continuum simultaneously experiencing nothing, everything, and something, one thing at a time. So it's all us. So if there is a virtual reality program, it's us on the other side. And so that's why we'll personify it with a god or an oversoul or a higher self or something. The truth is too scary, which is it's just you. You're alone. There ain't nothing else. And even you are not even you, obviously, because you're just awareness. So basically all this is just awareness folding in on itself, experiencing itself as a self, an individual self. And then once you have this experience of the appearance of a world, like a black hole, you're going to think that's the whole world, and then that's all there is. So the thing I want to end with is the latest thing that I found in a science magazine was saying that the latest theory is that the whole universe is nothing but a series of black holes, and that each of us is a black hole. And that's what reminded me of my cover. The book cover of my book shows you the vortex, the horizon of a black hole, and then we experience this flat sheet. So this is the flat sheet for what it really is. It's really just a two-dimensional flat sheet, but inside of it, you experiencing it as three-dimensional, like I showed in this picture. But it's really just a flat sheet of awareness bent on itself. So anyway, that's where we end up, where we're just a bunch of little black holes. Each one of us is our own universe. Everything that you see in the world is you. There's you diffused. Here's you back here as the singularity, and then here's you like a rainbow split up infinitely into, colors, spectrums, people, shapes, and everything. But in the end, they're both you. So the conspiracy is you, the virtual reality is you, it's all you. There's nowhere to go but you. There ain't nothing else. There ain't nowhere to go. But anyway, that's my take on conspiracy theories, virtual reality, in 2021. So anybody else got any questions, let me know and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you very much.